Holy crap. Alright, so hello, hi again. It's been a while since I made a video, but hey, what's up, Leah here again. And today I'm just gonna put out this video really quick just to explain briefly on how one square natural alignment works in P8S. Okay, so I personally do enjoy doing one square natural alignment more than the scribe strat, mostly because you condense the mechanic from being in two tiles or in two squares and just doing it within one square. And the mechanic being in one square allows you to not miss any heals from the healers versus being on two squares whereby the healers would have to move in and out to quickly heal the party before the next element goes out. Similarly, for the party, they would have to move in and out to catch the heals before actually doing the mechanic again. So at the end of the day, both scribe and also one square NA works really well. I prefer doing one square NA because it's less movement for my healers and it's also less movement for the whole entire party, right? And if you are still unsure on how one square NA works, I will link Hector's video in my description down below, so be sure to go watch his video for a more lengthy explanation on how this strat actually works. Alright, so without further ado, I'll be going through two clips explaining my role and also what my team is supposed to be doing within this strat alone. And I do hope that this video doesn't go past 10 minutes, so you guys would have like an easier way or a quick brief understanding on how this strat actually works. Alright, so I'm gonna go through this really quickly. Assuming that we all know how fire and ice are baited, I wouldn't need to go through that deep into the whole explanation part. If you really need an explanation on how fire and ice are baited, I would say watch Junebob or Hector's guide to understand on how fire and ice are baited. As long as you remember, fire is baited by the farthest person from the natural alignment players, and ice is baited by the players that are closest to the natural alignment debuffs. If this is too much for you to process, I would say go watch Junebob or Hector or any other content creators who have videos explaining on how fire and ice works. This video is only going to explain how one square natural alignment works. Alright? So now I'm gonna skip through fire. I'm gonna skip through the stack and spread. Alright, this one is really simple. Right, first one is spreading. We're gonna spread through our clock spots, right? Just quickly go through, and then the party is gonna stack on the safe side. And so if you look at the boss, there will be like a half rune cleave. Alright, so the next one, this is when we start doing the one square NA strat. So the first thing you need to identify is your flexors. Alright, again, I would repeat, go watch Junebob or even Hector's guide or anybody or any content creator whatsoever that has already guides explaining on how this specific mechanic works. Alright? So the first one, identify who are the two players with the natural alignment debuff. So here you can already see two support players, or one tank, one healer has already gotten the natural alignment debuff. Right? So that means your DPS players would have to flex. Whoever wants to flex, it doesn't matter, right? As long as it is an agreement that that person is going to flex. All right? Normally, the melees would just flex for the DPS side, and we make the tanks flex for the tanks and healers. Okay? That's it. So here, we're gonna make our monk flex, and you'll see what we are supposed to do in the one square natural alignment strat. So the first one, we're gonna see if it's fire or ice. So if you look at the cast bar right here, it is fire first, alright? Unfortunately, you can't really see that well, but if you can see at the bottom of the screen right here, it is going to be the fire cast first. That means there will be 3 sets of 2 players baiting fire. And if you remember, fire is baited by the farthest person from natural alignment. So as long as you have one person on the outside of the box within that one square, that would be the person baiting fire. If you are the fire baiter, you need to be outside of the box by a smidge. Right? If you look at my monk, his positioning is just there. 1 and 2. You can just look at the two corners of the two adjacent squares. One person, two person, right here. You immediately bait fire. Similarly, for the backside, if you are ranged, all you gotta do is just arrange yourself in and out of the square. That's it. The only thing about this strat is it would look very scary having it condensed into one square and 4 fires on one side. I won't go too deeply into it. It's going to be too much for people, and I won't want to explain one by one about it. As long as you remember, fire is baited by the farthest person from natural alignment, and there are 3 sets of fire AoEs. So you need to have one player on the outside, one player on the inside, and arrange yourself according to the square. That's it. Right? Boop, fire goes off. So you see how it is positioned? So one pair up here, one pair down here, and because it's one of our healers, we just make our healers stay at their spot. Our tanks will just adjust backwards to our healers. That's it. Alright, so the next one, it's ice. Pay attention on how ice is baited by the two closest person to the natural alignment. And pay attention to how the natural alignment players position themselves within the square. So now we know that lane 2 is safe and it is ice next. The two players that are going to be baiting ice, which is myself, and in this case, our Dark Knight prefers to bait the ice. But in Party Finder, it is always the flexers that baits the mechanic. So, same concept, as long as you remember, ice is baited by the two closest person. Right here. Boop. Okay, you see how it is baited? By the two closest person to the natural alignment. As long as the non-ice baiters do not step in to bait ice, this mechanic will resolve. Where would the two other players stand? Just stand on the line. Just literally stand where the line is that separates the front box and the second box behind. Look, very easy, right there. You either can arrange yourselves horizontally or vertically. In this strat, this is the reason why we put our ice baiters diagonally up in this little Dorito right here, because it is guaranteed that the two players will always bait ice, no matter how the players arrange themselves on the line that are not baiting the mechanic. Whether if it's horizontally or vertically, so long as the ice baiters scooch up diagonally, you are guaranteed to bait the ice. That's it. Very simple. So I'm gonna play the clip again. We're just gonna go through the clip one more time. So this is from the beginning. Natural alignment is casted. The first mechanic is stack or spread. So the first mechanic is spread. We are going to spread into our static clock spots. The next one is stack. Alright, so now we know the DPS player would have to flex. So it's lane 1, fire. Pay attention to how the natural alignment players position themselves. It is different for fire and ice. The way we do it, it is different for both fire and ice. Technically, you can put the natural alignment players in the middle of the box. But for safety purposes, we made our natural alignment players, especially for ice, to go either front, far forward, front if it's lane 1 safe, and then far backwards if it's lane 2 safe. This is just to avoid any form of clipping from any ice AoEs. Alright? That's it. And this is fire. 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out. Right? And then ice. 2 outs, 1 in, 1 side. If you notice, it's 2 outs and 1 in. Similarly over here, 2 outs and 1 in. That's it. And look at the natural alignment players. They are placed at the back of lane 2. See, now you see why we didn't put our natural alignment players in the middle. If you look closely, the way we position ourselves, like diagonally upwards, the ice AoE would have clipped the natural alignment players and it would have caused a whole party wipe if they didn't step all the way back off the second lane. This is why we put the natural alignment to be at the back if it's lane 2, or at the far front if it's lane 1, to avoid this sort of clipping. The way we did it was diagonally move upwards to bait ice, so we guarantee ourselves to bait the ice. There is no such thing as clipping left, right, back, and center. As long as you move upwards a little bit, you're fine. You're going to always bait ice. That's it. Very simple. Alright, you know what? I'm probably just gonna play the second clip and you can see the difference or the similarities of it. Alright, I'm gonna play the second clip now. So give me a second. Alright, so this is the second clip. Concept is still the same. Right? Natural alignment is casted. First mechanic is stack or spread. Now this time, the DPS players have the natural alignment debuff. So now you have a clear point of view on how the natural alignment players would align themselves for fire ice. So this one is stack, natural alignment move forward, the party moves backwards to stack together. And then now it's going to be a half room cleave and party is going to spread. So right now we're gonna do tank flexing. It is fire first. If it's fire first, it is always natural alignment players to be in the middle of the square. As long as the fires are baited correctly, natural alignment will be safe. This is very, very simple, right? 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out. Right here. So if you notice the positioning of our players, it's always like this. Very simple, condensed into one specific square. You notice how our tanks are just baiting? Yeah, this is because they prefer to bait the mechanic itself. Alright, it really comes down to who wants to bait fire. It depends on the group. So you would have to actually discuss with the group whether you are in a static or in the PF. Right? You would have to discuss who is baiting fire. And then that would settle everything. Alright, first one is fire. The second one is ice. See, this is lane 1. We're gonna go all the way front. And then the backside, you see the ice will be baited downside. There you go. That's it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get like a good view of how the ice is baited. But you've seen from the previous clip, it was shown that the ice is baited really simply on the diagonal closer to the center. Right, on the little Dorito here, that is closer to the center. So one is up here. If it's lane 1, it's right up here. If it's lane 2, it's right up here. It's right down here, sorry. And you notice ice is always baited on this little 4 line here. It is never going to move. So you can always use this 4 marker as your reference to always bait ice. That is all for natural alignment done in one square. So it would look a little bit confusing, but I will be linking a visual at the end of this video, which is coming up soon, and you would see how it is actually done correctly with visuals as well. So like I said, this is a very brief guide. If you don't understand how this whole entire phase works, go watch other content creators that have already made a video explaining how this whole mechanic works. This thing will repeat itself again after High Concept 1, which is the Natural Alignment 2 phase. The only difference with that mechanic is the extra step of an inverse. Other than that, it is the same thing, right? That's it. Alright, so I hope that helps. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop by my Twitch channel. I do stream every now and then. I am trying to come up with a more consistent schedule. But for the most part, if you do have any questions, I do have a Curious Cat profile for you to drop any questions. I will answer them whenever I can. So yeah, feel free to follow my social medias as well. Alright, that's it for One Square NA. Spreading clock spots. NA forward, stack left, party. DPS flexing. Lane 1. Fire. Into ice. Good. With the healers. Away from 4. Tank flexing. Stack south and move forward. Open eyeball, spread right. Okay. Tank flexing. Lane 2 is fire. Lane 1, ice, tank flexing. Good. With your healers. Yep. Careful.